for most businesses, it's still their most successful form of leads. They get their best clients through it. And yet I don't think it gets the respect it deserves in terms of looking at it at a strategic level. In that instance, like, it would be deeply inappropriate if mid-hug, after someone had had a breakthrough, she whispered in their ear, "Can you give me a referral, please?" It's all about understanding the problems you solve and the value that you deliver on a human level, because that's where people will connect, and that's what drives introduction.
This is the Giraffes Don't Eat Steak podcast.
The podcast for curious marketers who zig when others zag.
Dave Plunkett shares powerful referral strategies to turn your best clients into your biggest growth engine. Discover why being specific, timing your ask perfectly are the keys to unlocking this marketing goldmine.
Hello, Alex.
Hi Erica, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
I'm so excited to bring to our podcast today Dave Plunkett. Hey, Dave. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Hey, Erica. Hey, Alex. I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Excited
Thanks
to be
for
here.
joining us.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, Dave.
Yeah, my pleasure. Excited to be here.
So, Alex, you've never met Dave before, and our audience doesn't know you, Dave. So do you want to just give a brief update on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, cool. So first and foremost, I am a dad of three from the edge of the southwest of England. Luna, Milo and Remy, who are 11, 9 and 3, married to Kelly, lover of football and music, and just kind of connecting with what we love. And I'm a big believer in we're here for a good time, not a long time. So we should enjoy what we do and enjoy life and enjoy our work. And that for me comes from connecting with what makes us and other humans. And that ties in with what I do. I'm a Nearbound Specialist. So for those of you that haven't heard the term Nearbound before, you get inbound, you get outbound, you get Nearbound. Nearbound essentially is word of mouth. So it's getting referrals either from your clients or getting referrals from partners, other businesses where there's an alignment in values and shared end goals. And so everything I do is about leveraging trusted human connections in a really authentic way, but doing it with some actual intention and purpose behind it. So that's what I do. Background in business membership. So I worked for the Chamber of Commerce, then ran my own small business membership organisation, which we grew to a couple of thousand members, almost entirely through referrals and partnerships. And I then ran a lead generation and customer success agency, which is where I really cut my partnership teeth, delivered hundreds of thousands of leads to big global brands. We have reached about 1 million small business owners. So just before COVID, got bored, got miserable, actually, bored is the wrong word, got miserable running that business, wanted to do something I loved and thought, why are there so few people talking about how to get this stuff right in business? And so launched Collaboration Junkie, and here I am 5 years later.
I love the term
That's
Nearbound.
awesome.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned something new already. I'd actually never heard of Nearbound. Nearbound, right?
Yeah, Nearbound. Yeah, because it's all about what's already close to you,
Yeah.
right? And how do you bring it closer and convert that?
So in the insurance space where Alex and I met, we called it cross-sell and upsell, which doesn't sound even half as sexy as your Nearbound.
No, not at all.
Well, I think the other thing is it just. I'm going to dive straight in with my soapbox subjects here.
Go over it.
Is this thing
Go
around
for it, yeah.
referrals. Like, referrals is the oldest form of marketing, right? Like, back before the written word, there was word of mouth, right? Back in kind of caveman times, it was word of mouth. And it's tribal. It's to want to connect and do things on shared values and belong is right deep rooted in our DNA. And yet, referrals doesn't get, and for most businesses, it's still their most successful form of leads. They get their best clients through it. And yet I don't think it gets the respect it deserves in terms of looking at it at a strategic level. So one of the things I love about the term Nearbound is it kind of maybe elevates it in people's minds to go, oh, this isn't just word of mouth, that thing that happens. Actually, it's a strategic channel that should be worked on like any other in your business. And I think it's crazy that more people don't look at it in this way, because it is so powerful and it is so effective, particularly in the era that we're kind of quickly moving through in terms of AI and automation and everything else, which are wonderful things, but depending on your product or service, if the more trust is involved in the sales process, the more important having an effective nearbound strategy is going to be moving forwards, because trust is at a premium these days. So
absolutely. And I think it's about being deliberate about the strategy rather than just going, oh no, I get leads through referrals. It's like, what is your deliberate strategy to make it happen? Not accidentally, oh yes, someone referred me. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. So I love accidentally and deliberate. The words I typically use, because other people use them with me, is they say that they've got an organic strategy. And it's like, do you mean chance? Do you mean you're leaving your biggest and best or somebody's to chance? Yeah. But I think the thing is that people think that you've either got organic or you've got affiliate, right? And affiliate, like the pushy sales, spam, sending loads of emails out, heavily incentivizing, just for the initial introduction, which works in some spaces, but not with the people that I work with at all. And it's kind of one of the things I often say when I'm working with people on the client referral strategy is it can have the opposite effect that you want. But there's this gap in the middle, which I say, I use the word intention quite a lot, where you use deliberate, Erica. But yes, it's about planning it out. And for me, it's all about having process behind the scenes, lots of process behind the scenes, but keeping it really human and genuine and personal, outward facing. And I think that's the art to getting this right, is for it to actually feel more human than typically how people are doing it at the moment, because it can feel a bit icky. So it feels more human, but actually it's a really well-oiled machine, and you're doing everything with intent.
Absolutely. The other thing I find is that people don't think it through, which means you make it hard for your clients to refer you. Whereas just being deliberate or intentional is just about thinking, how do I make it easy for people to refer me, right? If someone wants to refer you, but they have to find an email address or go onto your website and think about it, or try and remember your phone number, you're making it hard. And any barrier to any customer, any human behavior, right? We go like, oh, I'll do it later. And then guess what? You never do it.
Yeah.
So it's about, how do you make it simple, easy, so that someone can genuinely go, oh yeah, I want to refer you, and I know how to do it because it's one click or one button or one process, and it's done. Doesn't take, half an hour of my bandwidth to try and figure it out. Yeah,
absolutely. You're lining these up lovely for me, Erica, because that whole make it easy piece is absolutely one of my mantras, right? And you mentioned about that kind of, it goes out of their mind. I call it the I'll get round to it pile. Even if someone wants to refer you and they've said they will, if you haven't made it easy for them, it goes on the I'll get round to it pile. And those piles don't get looked at until they get kind of swept off a metaphorical desk, and another pile begins, right? But the interesting thing with the easy piece is I think it comes sooner than the how do you make the referral. The bit that most people get wrong is the what they ask for. And that's the easy piece, is if someone's got to think about who it is to refer, that's when they go, oh, I'll get round to that. I think you are right in terms of the how, though. Like, if someone doesn't know how to introduce you, if they said, oh, you should speak to so-and-so, and the person said yes, if they don't know how to position you, then they won't. And so there's things you can do, like if someone says they're going to make an introduction, offer them some support, like give them a couple of little lines they can use if that's going to make it easier for them. But I think the first thing is making it easy for someone to think about who a good introduction is. I always use the analogy of when I ran my membership organization, we were running 3 events a week up and down the UK. I was probably seeing a couple of hundred business owners across the 3 nights every single week. And as the host of the events, people would come to me and go, oh, I'd love an introduction kind of thing. And I go, yeah, who do you want to speak to? And they thought they'd be really helpful by going, oh, we can work with any small business owner. And I'd be like, oh, could you just kind of like make it a bit more specific? I'd be like, yeah, forward thinking small business owners or growth focused. It'd be like, oh, and like they thought they were being helpful, but all I could think of would be a sea of people, just no clarity. And the minute someone was more specific, then immediately it narrowed it down. And even if I couldn't think of someone right then, at least I had that specificity in mind, that when I did think of someone or I came across someone, it was much easier for me to go, oh, right, yeah, that person, right? And I think that's the easy bit. It's about being specific. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can either do the very specific type of business, or even better, if you know someone, right? Like, oh, Erica, I know you know Alex. I love an introduction because, do you mind? Like, that's the best, because I don't even have to think about it. The other side of being specific is, and it's the thing that for me really unlocks that whole human side of referrals, is about being specific about the problems that you solve. So instead of going, can you refer someone to me so I can put them into my sales funnel, you say to people, can you, and I call it situational niching. So you're niching within a situation rather than a type of business. You go, if you hear someone saying this, then I'd love an introduction because we can help them, and I'll get on the phone and I'll give them a call in the first instance and give them some pointers. And this bit, that kind of what you get people to listen out for, is the things that your prospects say that shows they're in the state when you can help, right? And it changes the whole dynamic of a referral, from someone doing you a favor to someone doing the person that they're making the introduction to a favor, because they've got a problem or they've got an opportunity, and you're the person that's going to help them do that, right? And it's when you kind of unlock that piece, it's that's the real key to making referrals feel human and natural and not so icky, which a lot of people kind of go, oh, referrals, it's sales, it feels a bit icky. So that's my piece.
That's awesome. I think that's a really, really valuable piece of information about making it very specific and obvious, so they don't have to. Not making somebody think is fatal every single time, because we don't like to think ever. We never like to think. So if we did a real world example, well, I say a real world, a fake real world example. Say if I have a pet shop,
yeah,
and I ask you, what would be the best way to ask for a referral? Like, what kind of things would I say to my customer who was pleased with the purchase they made?
Okay, so I love that you've gone down consumer route, because that is not my market at all. So, but
Okay, cool.
I'm going to roll with that. No, I'm going to roll with it, Alex. So as an example, like the things that you get people to listen out for are, I call them triggers, and they're triggers because they stick it. It's like storytelling in normal marketing. This is storytelling in referrals, and so it's things that actual humans would say, not marketing blurb, right? So yeah. Like, people don't walk around saying they need a new website. They apologize in advance when you ask them if they've got one, right? So it's these little triggers. So using the pet store example, it might be, Alex, love that you're happy with your pet and your service, whatever the intro has been. Yeah. Listen, do us a favor. We're a small business here. We rely on referrals. Next time you hear one of your parent friends talking about the fact that their kids are giving them hassle about getting a pet, I'd love you to send them our way. You know, in the first instance, we'll just give them a chat about what might be the right pet for them to do, but that would really help us if you don't mind.
Okay, cool. So you're really like making it specific to the trigger, right? So yeah. So making them aware of what they need to listen to, not making them think, is that what the guy meant when he was saying this is the type of person they might want? No, it's like, oh, that person said that, boom.
Yeah, exactly that. And you know you've got those right when you say it to someone and they go, because they think about a conversation that they've been a part of over the previous 2 weeks, and they go, oh, and I call them triggers because they sit there in the back of someone's mind, and when they hear it, it goes. And these are great for seeding long-term consistent referrers, because that doesn't go away. Whenever they hear that kind of problem or opportunity, that trigger come up, they'll mention you, and they'll do it time and again, and they'll feel good doing it because it's problem helpful. It's problem based, it's helpful, it's helping. And that's again back to that tribal thing, right? And human connection.
We like helping.
We want to help, we want to belong, we want to help those people that got our shared values, and that's all referrals is when it's done right.
So you're pushing our buttons because this we call it pain points, right? We're saying when the person mentions the pain point, and I'm a dog owner, so I can talk to Alex's Pet Shop example, is if I heard someone when I'm walking my dog, I often meet other dog owners and they go, "Oh, cute, that's good. Oh, that's a lovely lead that you've got. I wish I had a lead like that. Oh, you should go to Alex's pet store because he's got a whole variety of leads that suits all sorts of dogs. That's the place where I go, so it's that easy connection that doesn't even feel like a referral. It doesn't feel like I'm selling anything. That's a normal conversation that you have with people when you're out walking your dog.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And in our personal lives, I mean, referrals make the world go round. You want to watch something new on telly, or eat something new, try a new restaurant, whatever. You ask your friends, right? That's what you do, and they'll ask you to be a bit more specific. What type of food, or do you want a series or a film, kind of thing? But they'll give you their advice. And even if you don't do that, if you think about the big tech platforms that are out there, Netflix, Amazon, whatever it may be, all the whole algorithms are generated along by people who watch this also watch this. People who bought this also did this, right? And it's word of mouth. It's herd mentality. They know that's what that works. It's deep rooted in us as humans. And I just don't think businesses in general have really thought about this and grasped it. But I think I believe the way the world is going with tech, I think we've probably reached. I believe AI is going to reach it to the point where it's breaking point and people are going to crave that human connection and go, and I'm not anti-AI, by the way. It's wonderful and it's great at doing certain things, but people are using it to replace relationships, and that's not what it's for. It's there to, I believe it's there to buy you time to do the stuff that humans do better and should do better and fulfill us, like being creative, building relationships, doing all that stuff. And so I believe that this natural way of being is something that we're going to see more and more of.
Completely agree with that. And I think referrals, it hits upon one of the biggest triggers we have when we're looking at buying something or what we see as valuable. Like when we're buying something, we're always hoping that it's going to help us reach the outcome that we want, the thing that our desire. And the other one is like, is it actually going to happen? That's that uncertainty. So if I'm working with someone new, I don't know for sure that it's going to happen. I can maybe believe what they've told me, but if someone else has done it that I know, and I've seen that they've gone from point A to point B, and point B being where the business that they interacted with took them to, that tells me that has a very high chance of it coming true. And I think that's the really powerful trigger. Sorry, the powerful element of referrals is knowing that it's going to happen, having your own social proof circle of it happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've all heard the saying, people do business with people they know, like, and trust, which is an abridged version, but it's true. And while a referral doesn't negate the trust process, it certainly speeds it up significantly. Like, there's so many stats out there around the fact that referrals close quicker, they close more often, they spend more, they stay longer, they're more likely to refer more business onto you. Typically, they're the people, and there's all these kind of secondary benefits as well, that typically if you get a referral, particularly if you're intentional about your referral strategy, I always say, like, if you're going to ask for introductions from clients, if you're unfortunate to still have the odd dickhead client, I'm allowed to say dickhead on the podcast? Yes. I've said it twice now, so it's too late. Don't ask them referrals, because they probably know other dickheads, right? So be intentional. Like, you ask good people, which means they're going to send you good people as well, because there's going to be this values piece, which means not only is there all those other stats, but the working relationship is going to be more enjoyable, which means it's probably going to be quicker, which means more profitable as well. If you've got a team of people, they're probably going to enjoy working with them as well, which means your retention and talent piece is going to be impacted as well. There are all these secondary kind of pieces around working with businesses that you enjoy doing, and the best way to do that, I found, and I'm yet to see anyone show me otherwise, is to do it via referral and word of mouth, because of that values and trust piece that's kind of baked in around it.
So I've heard it's not an objection, but many businesses saying that we've completely exhausted our referral network. And so I was wondering what your opinion is on that. Well, I'll let you speak. I have mine, but it's your.
Yeah, no, and I do. I hear it a lot, or that people say, "Oh, we've got it to this point, but we need something else to scale." And typically, there's can be a number of things going on here. First of all, often when people look at referral strategy, it's based on the private network of a few key individuals in a business, right? And that's why people get twitchy about scaling it, because they go, it can't rely on me, particularly if you're looking at an exit at some point. It can't rely on me from a biz dev point of view, but also an account management point of view. Like if I bring the referral in, there's almost an expectation on me to still be leading that account in some way. And so with that means the network's already immediately limited. And one of the things that I talk a lot about is building cultures of referrals, so that actually it's anyone who's customer facing. And in fact, your account managers should be picking up more referrals than your salespeople, because they're the people that own an ongoing relationship. And referrals, when done the right way, that we've just touched on, it isn't sales. And so you can you almost want non-sales people to be doing this stuff, so it does feel human. And so sometimes it's that actually they're talking about a limited network of a few key individuals rather than the network of everyone that's within an organization. And then it can be things like, by exhausted, it means we've asked everyone. We've sent everyone an email at least once a year for 3 years now, and we're not getting any referrals back, right? Or they've asked a pot of data that they think is their referral partners, but actually there's all sorts of other things like when someone leaves an organization that you work with, or you stop working with it, like, do you follow them where they go next? Like, can they get you into other places? If you're working with large organizations, like, can you get what I call internal referrals? Like if they're large enough that they've got different departments or different locations, that's that being specific again. You don't need to know the name, but if you're working with the HR director in England, can you get an intro into the HR director in Germany or whatever it may be? And so often people like that, when people say that, they've just exhausted what they think their view is of the referrals that are open to them. And typically there is so much people have just scratched the surface of what's there and available to them.
The other common one I've seen is, we put it in our email footers.
Yeah.
Who reads an email footer? Like, how often do you read the email footer, right? Like you read the part you need to read and then you move on.
Yeah.
But no, our strategy is it's in our email footers.
So an email footer and an email once a quarter in the newsletter kind of thing, that type of piece, yeah. Offering an Amazon voucher if someone passes us an introduction. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's just a general lack of understanding of what referrals is and the depth of what type of campaigning you can do around referrals. It's more than just asking your mates in the pub if they're interested in your services, you know.
Or your mum.
Or your mum, yeah. Exactly. Also, I think we should also say that Dave's not saying that salespeople are not humans.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And there is a famous, probably the most famous kind of sales training outfit out there that say the best time to ask for a referral is at the point of sale, right? And I'm not saying it's the best, but it's certainly one. Like it's probably better than at the end of a project. Like, but it's there are different times that it's right to ask for an introduction, right? And I call them wow moments. And different businesses have different wow moments at different times. And even each client by client, the wow moment will be at different points. Like I always use as an example, and that depends on whether it's a salesperson and an account manager, Alex. I think that or whoever, right? But I use the example often with when I got my branding done. It was the first time that I'd had a business where branding was being done professionally. I had the name of the business already, Collaboration Junkie. I was good friends with the agency owner who was going to be doing the branding, so I knew it was going to be good. But then I can remember getting like the first drafts of it back, right? And it was just amazing. I get little goosebumps even now when I think of it because it was just so much more than I ever thought it would be. They just absolutely knocked it out of the park. And that was the real wow moment. That was when I was most delighted. When they delivered the assets to me, like a month later or whatever it may be, that wasn't quite as special. And that's the time someone would traditionally ask for a referral, but it wasn't quite as special because all they did was deliver against my heightened expectations. The real wow moment came at that first draft piece. But that was an agency. I've worked with IT service providers who they get most of their referrals at prospect stage because they do like a free review piece of someone's like 365 setup that takes them 15 minutes and they can very quickly go save some money there, tidy that up, do this. And they did that so well that they got so many introductions and referrals into that kind of discovery call phase. Other people, it's not quite so right to do it. And sometimes it might be a lag. You might do your work, but then the impact of that is felt further down the line. It could be a coach or like SEO or something that's more long term. And it's just about understanding the right times to ask. Because if you can match up the right time to ask with the right ask that we've come to, that we mentioned before, that's where that magic that's where the magic happens, that people just go, yeah, of course. When people are really delighted with you and you make it easy for them, that's the bit when it works. But it's about understanding where those points are and who's having them. Is it a salesperson? Is it an account manager? Is it whoever?
That's such a brilliant insight. I've actually not thought about that before, about putting it in the right part. And you're right, with any relationship, even like human relationships, and when you first meet somebody, you have like the spark bit. And just because you've known someone for years and years and years, it doesn't mean that you don't value them less or anything. But you had a bigger impression the first time you met them than when you're seeing them every single day, if that makes sense. So like,
Yeah, absolutely. There's only one person in the relationship who decides whether you've delivered enough value to make the referral, and it's not you. It's the other person, right? If someone could have just literally just found out about your product or service and gone, oh my God, I've been waiting for this all my life. Where have you been? At that moment, they are ready to tell every single one of their friends who's got that same problem about this new thing that they found, right? It's different as you say, it's different for everyone, but it's about understanding. It's about understanding our own kind of unique journeys, and then treating every person that goes through that different, and just using, because it is still deeply personal. It's about using your instinct, like going. You could be at a point in time in your customer journey where normally you get this amazing reaction, and you go, oh, that wasn't quite. Yeah, they didn't quite have that wow that they normally do, and you go, you know what? I'll wait 3 weeks down the line when I know there's another touch point that might be a more appropriate time to ask, right? So yes, it's about having all this process and awareness around the right times to do it, but that still has to be underpinned by empathy and human emotion and gut feel, because an introduction is a deeply personal thing, because every time someone makes one, they're trusting you with their reputation. And in business, that's huge. Someone's not just giving you a lead; they're trusting you with their reputation. And so we need to respect that and be aware of it, I think.
In the insurance industry, it was interesting because logically, there's 2 points where the customer is at this peak. The one is on purchase, because you've got this whole relief phase, and insurance is a grudge purchase anyway, right? We know this is like the bottom of the rung of what you really want in life. But having the insurance means you get the relief of feeling, I'm covered, I'm okay now. So that's a good place. But the other place that was a bit trickier was at claim stage. And for some for some insurance products, it worked well. So for example, car insurance. If you had car insurance and they paid out, you were happy, right? And then you were like, oh yeah, this insurance company keeps their promises. I'm going to tell my friends that's okay. But if it was anything like life insurance or accidental death, like anything human related, that was a no, because that person is not in, that's not a happy moment, even if you've paid the claim, right? There's nothing you're going to do that's going to make them go, oh, this is awesome, I need to tell my friends. So even, you know, something like insurance, which feels like it's a straight line, has very specific nuances depending on the type of emotion, the event, whether it's the event, you know, that you're paying out or, I mean, not paying out, whole different scenario. Don't ask those people.
Yeah.
But it's to think through that, right? And I love the way you're talking about it is, what are the different touch points? For example, on renewal, which, you know, happens every year. If someone hasn't claimed and they're paying again, it's probably not a good time, because they're thinking about, I didn't claim all year and now I've got to pay again. This is not a happy moment.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And even when there are happy moments, and a little bit like, and it's kind of, it's taking your example, which is quite an extreme one of like someone dying or whatever, but even in a business context, even on positive moments when you've done something, you still have to use your awareness of like, is this going to spoil the moment? Like, is it appropriate to ask now? I delivered a talk at the business show a couple of years ago, and there was someone in the audience who did cuddle therapy, right? So with a coach and does cuddling, and I was like, in that instance, like, it would be deeply inappropriate if mid-hug, after someone had had a breakthrough, she whispered in their ear, can you give me a referral, please? Right? Like, just not going to be right. Or, and it's the same with obligation points. Like, if you've got someone out of the shit, like they've gone, oh my God, Erica, I owe you one for that. There's an obligation point there. They do want to introduce you. But again, where you've got these points, sometimes if you jump on them, it can feel manipulative. In which instance, let the moment be, and then contact them the next day. Pick up the phone and go, hey, Alex, loved our session yesterday. Really glad you like the first shot of the designs. Listen, love working with clients like you. We love getting that reaction. Next time you hear someone saying, and then you go into your referral pitch, right? And you make it separate. You strike while the emotion is still there. And you can still do it. And with the obligation ones, or the slightly, let's use the sadder example, Erica, like things like that. What you can do is just ask, right? You make note that, like, I really helped that person out there. There's going to be an element of obligation around me, or in your example, the service was good. And you can just do an ask, right? You can just do a polite, nice ask without going, remember that time I helped you out? Well, now it's time for you to help me out. You don't need to do that. You can just be aware that you've got some credit in the bank of goodwill and leverage it. And I think, I wish there was a nicer word than leverage, because it makes it sound like you're taking advantage. But I come back to that thing of when you're looking for introductions to people who've got problems you can solve, that's not a bad thing. You're not looking to manipulate anyone. You're just seeing how many more people there are out there that you can help. So,
but what about the scenario? And I had a discussion with someone recently. The scenario where the thing you're helping them with is deeply personal. And so you don't actually want to tell people that you went through this thing. You know, think about, I don't know, divorce counseling, or, you know, something that you're not necessarily want to tell people that this thing happened to you. How would you do it then?
Yeah, it can be really tricky. You need to give people even more support in terms of what to listen out for and how to position you so they don't feel like that. Because the triggers are all there. What you can do is try and make the triggers further ahead of the situation, right? So it's not right when they're in the middle of something messy. It's the signs are there beforehand, potentially. And you can give people the positioning of how to do it. So instead of saying I use this person, it's kind of you get them to say, oh, I had a friend that I had someone else that recommended this person, kind of thing. So you can help them to go one step removed back. But the other way, I suppose the other avenue in that instance is to look at partners as well. So it's to look at other aligned services that naturally follow on from something like that, because then it's a more natural fit, because those conversations are happening anyway. In a business rather than personal context as well, Erica, sometimes what I hear from people a lot is you'll get clients that don't want to refer you because they want to keep you. They certainly don't want to share. They certainly don't want to introduce you to people like them who are potentially their competitors, because they see you as their kind of their secret weapon behind the scenes kind of thing.
Yeah, I've also seen one where it's I used to work with a company who their clients didn't want anyone to know that they were seeking this type of help, because they were seen as the expert. So if they then start saying, oh, I work with these guys, and I'm like, oh, well, I thought you guys had that internal expertise inside, or it kind of might damage their reputation to know that they're working with somebody else. That's actually quite a tough one to
It is.
get.
And look, and this is one of those ones where I hate kind of marketers or lead gen people who profess their thing to be the silver bullet that solves all, right, and is going to 10x your business and all that stuff. There are certain instances that you just can't get round, right? Like that being one of them. That you will, as much as they say referrals is in our DNA, and it is, that doesn't mean every single person you're ever going to work with is going to be willing to do it, for a number of reasons. And there are some where you go, like that instance you gave there, where it's going to be really tricky to get them to refer, right? It's what it's at then is looking at potentially internal referrals. It's going, is there other parts of the organization that you can work with because it's done well? It's looking at, you have to be a bit more creative about the different avenues that are open to you. But then if there aren't, move on to someone where it is much easier to gain those referrals, right? And it's why I would always say, as much as it frustrates me that people kind of don't work on their referral strategy, I'm never saying you shouldn't do the other efforts, and particularly as you get larger, you want to scale, you need to have the brand piece and everything else, but it's about not neglecting it as part of your mix. Because it depends, and how much of your mix it's going to be, as with any channel, depends on your business, who it is, who your target market is, how competitive the market is, whether they're willing to refer, all that good stuff.
I had a client who decided her business was one per strategy, so a little BNI, right? But one industry per, that's what she did. And so she struggled with referrals because that client's in the industry. But they have suppliers, they don't have to refer you to their competitors, because that goes against the industry. But what about their suppliers? Or I'm sure they go to networking themselves,
or
or
their
they meet
clients,
other
their
people.
wider network. Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
So it's thinking broader than, you're a lawyer, other lawyers. Can you refer me to other lawyers? No, I've said I'm only going to work with one lawyer at a time. So don't introduce me to lawyers, go somewhere else.
Yeah, the trickiest one is always the admission, where either someone doesn't want to admit they've had or are having a problem, whether that's a business skill in your example, Alex, or a personal one in yours, Erica. That's always the trickiest one to get over.
But you've given us some other examples that I didn't even think of, which are brilliant. I mean, like, for example, if it was like a health problem, which no one ever wants to talk about, but they had a great experience, then maybe you should be partnering with, like, I don't know, like someone who would refer them to the surgery or something like that, or another supplier that's in that chain. And the same with the company that doesn't want to admit they've had external consultancy, for example, but maybe that probably means they're a large corporation, so then they will have other departments so you've kind of opened up a lot of other avenues I'd never.
But it's all about problem solving, right? Whether it's external referrals, internal referrals, or finding the right partners to work with, it's all about understanding the problems you solve, and the value that you deliver on a human level, because that's where people will connect, and that's what drives introductions.
So if you hypothetically were to be speaking to two really amazing marketers who were not so comfortable with asking for referrals when they work with people and do brilliant work with them, what would your advice be to that hypothetical situation? Asking for a friend.
Yeah. I would say to have some conversations with your favorite clients, the ones that you've got the best relationship with, and talk to them about the problems that you've solved for them, and like the unexpected problems that you've solved for them. Get really comfortable with the value that you deliver. Listen to the words that they say, because they're the words that you use, and weave that into referral requests, so that it doesn't, so that you're not asking for leads, you're asking for conversations, essentially, just the right conversations at the right time. And then I would say to then practice that on other favorite clients that you haven't spoken to, and you can even be open and honest about it. And I think if your friends did that, Alex, then maybe they'd find this referral thing isn't quite as scary or icky as it feels.
Brilliant, thank you. I love that. Also, yeah, I guess using someone else's words instead of your own words is probably easier to do, and you have more confidence in what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I say those trigger pieces is so important to use normal language, not what's written on your website. Like, your website could be amazing, really well written to speak to your audience, but it's speaking to your audience when they're on your site looking for your service. When you're asking people to listen out for introductions, it's the sorts of things that people say in a conversation that signpost that they're there. And it's like that language piece. That language piece is, that I believe, one of the two biggest things around the blocks and referrals. The first one being, it's a sales activity and people feel uncomfortable with sales, which is a whole nother mindset thing. And the second one is this language piece, which feeds into the other.
It's so we talk about a nail in the foot pain versus a pebble in the shoe pain. And I guess if someone has a nail in the foot pain and they're hopping around and they say, I need X, it's easy then to connect the dots going, oh, wait, I know somebody, but that's rare, right? And I think that's the difficulty with referrals, is you think that's what it is. You think it has to be someone who's screaming in pain, yes, I can help. But actually, it's the subtle listening skills of the people in the shoe pain, which is I'm going to put on the parking lot. I'll get to it. And that, listening for those words. And so helping the person understand, these are the words. This is the kind of stuff people could be saying, which means they could be good for a conversation with me.
Yeah, people aren't saying that they need help with their processes. They're complaining about spinning too many plates. Exactly. They're not asking for outsourced HR support. They're talking about the fact that they're spending too much time dealing with an employee issue. They're the website one, right? They don't say they need a new website. They apologize about their existing one in advance. They don't say they need a proactive accountant. They moan about their existing one not kind of getting in touch enough, or whatever it may be. And it's exactly the things.
Brilliant. The only other thing, early on, you spoke about being specific, right? So saying, hey, Erica, John, I'd like an introduction. But it's something I've seen people get wrong as well, is they don't do the work to see if you actually do know John, or they just go and say, oh, you're connected on LinkedIn, which doesn't necessarily mean you know John, right? Like, you're connected on LinkedIn doesn't mean squat. And then put out there, I'm looking for the CEO of Microsoft. And then go, oh, referrals don't work. I was specific. I asked for a person and nobody came forward, right? Like, you need to be realistic and actually, if you're talking to someone, they know them. Like,
and even then still give context. Because of that, you're trusting someone with their reputation, right? So even if someone I know well, if they ask me if they want an introduction, I still want to know why. Because I would, but also it helps me contextualize it when I ask the person if they want the introduction, right? It means it's more chance of it being said yes. So I think you're absolutely right. And it comes down to the making it easy part. It's not just about you need to do as much of the hard work as you possibly can so that it's as relevant and as easy for the person you're asking to say yes.
Absolutely. Dave, we could absolutely keep chatting for another 5 hours, I think. This has been amazing. And Alex and I have both learned a lot, which that's always our favorite podcast episodes, when we learn stuff as well. Where can people get hold of you if they want to chat more or learn more about how to do this properly?
Yeah, okay. So people can head to the to my website, which is collaborationjunkie.com. From there, you'll be able to see blog articles, sign up to the mailing list. The book should be out by the time this podcast goes on, which is all about partnerships, other than broader referrals, specifically around partnerships and my framework for referral partnerships. And I run free online masterclasses that people can access through there, or they can come and find me on LinkedIn. I do quite a lot on LinkedIn, so Dave Plunkett on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Any last words of advice for our audience?
Yeah, I think if there's one thing, it's to remember that people refer you for what you do, not what you sell. And so it really is to find that human angle about the problems that you solve. Figure those out, and then being intentional will feel so much easier for you to do. So that would be my final closing statement.
Oh, I love that. Alex,
Awesome.
your biggest takeaway today?
I think it would be to just understand where is the wow moment for your customers in their journey with working with you. If you understand that wow moment, you understand the perfect time to ask for a referral.
Yeah, I love that as well. Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for chatting to us today.
It's been my pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Alex,
Cheers.
fun as always, and I'll see you again.
Catch you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Giraffes Don't Eat Steak, where curious marketers zig when others zag. If you enjoyed the episode, share it with someone who loves great marketing conversations. And don't forget to follow, review, or drop us a note. We love hearing from fellow curious minds. And if your own marketing's feeling a bit tangled, check out our Marketing Power Hour. It's a focused one-to-one session designed to help you get clarity and momentum. Just go to themarketingdetectives.com and book your slot. Until next time, keep zigging.